Fresh from the showcase here at SwissWatchExpo, this morning we are talking about all things Rolex Deepsea. This is a real big watch. It is a fascinating watch, and for me it's really kind of the ultimate Rolex. This is the logical conclusion of everything that Rolex has been doing for the past 100 years. If you really get down to it, this is ultimately what has evolved into the Rolex that beats all the other Rolexes in a way. But there's a few different nuances and different variations on them that we'll go over. There are a few different choices for you to make if you're ready to step up and take on the real Rolex, the Deepsea. This watch came out in 2008, and when it originally came out, it just had the black dial. And the thing that was different about this watch at the time that no watch had ever done before was the extreme depth resistance. This one was famously water resistant to 12,800 feet. Now, if you think about it, with the advent of modern diving suits, things kind of like an Iron Man exoskeleton that people wear, there are things that vehicles that people go to extreme depths. Really, anything deeper than about 1,000 feet is overkill, and really just for bragging rights. It's more of a marketing campaign for Rolex. The fact that it's deep, the water resistance to that depth. But it does show an incredible level of innovation that the company did to get to that point. When you look at this watch, it's a 44 millimeter case. So it's much larger than the 40 millimeter Submariner and Seadwellers that came before it. The helium escape valve, of course, is always integral into the side of it. If you don't know about the helium escape valve, Google it. It's for saturation diving. It's when you're, one of the accounts I read of a guy who had done it, it took him 44 days to complete the dive. I mean, we're talking about extreme kind of diving where all of the cells of your body are saturated with the helium mix that you breathe at that kind of depth. So this is not the thing that most people use this watch for. I'm really going to focus more on why you would wear this watch as an everyday watch versus why you would use it to go to the extreme depths. So the helium escape valve is there. It works automatically. What it does is allow the helium that builds up inside the watch at those extreme depths to escape without harming the watch. So most of the time it's just there and you don't worry about it. But the few things that you notice right off about the watch when you look at it, it has the unidirectional turning bezel to time things with. You've got a 60-minute timer. All you do is line the pearl up with the minute hand, and you can time almost anything. Of course, that's meant for timing dives. And the bezel is the ceramic with the platinum inlay numbers. So it's virtually scratch-proof. It will not fade. The platinum numbers don't come out. There's no kind of wear that you would see on the bezel. It has very large crown guards around the triplock crown, and you can see the case is really thick. The case on this watch is 17.7 millimeters thick, so it is a big hefty watch on your wrist, probably not going to fit it under a dress shirt, but that's not the point of this watch. Even the crystal, you can see it's slightly domed. The crystal itself is 5.5 millimeters thick. That's to withstand the extreme pressures from those extreme depths. And when you look at the case back, it's very different from other Rolex case backs in that it has the writing around the edge, and it's a titanium case back. And Rolex, typically all of the steel on it is the 904L steel, but this one is the titanium so that it could be a good bit thinner and still be strong enough to withstand the pressures. So the dial itself is pretty busy. It's got 5 lines of texts just at the bottom, and then it has another 3 lines up top. There's not a lot of blank space on the dial, but with the Cerachrome that glows blue, that's because in underwater, the wavelengths of blue make it through better than other wavelengths, so it's easier to see underwater. And of course, you see this chromalite on all the other watches now, the newer sport watches, but that chromalite really has a beautiful look when you see it in the dark. The watch, when it came out, had a little bit thinner bracelet than the new ones, and we're going to talk about that here in just a moment. I'll show you the difference between the newer versions and the older ones. So that was the 2008 model. In 2012, James Cameron, the filmmaker, You'll know him from movies like The Terminator, Aliens, The Abyss, Terminator 2, Titanic, Avatar. He really has become fascinated with the oceans, and he's an environmentalist, but he is also a bona fide explorer. And he made a trip in 2012 to the Challenger Deep. It's the deepest part of the Mariana Trench. It's as deep below the surface of the ocean as most transatlantic flights fly above the surface of the Earth. It's almost 40,000 feet deep, and he went there in a submersible craft with a specially built Rolex Deepsea strapped to the outside of the vehicle as well as on his wrist. So he said that it was his constant companion in the dive, and so hats off to James Cameron. To commemorate that dive in 2012, in 2014, Rolex came out with what they call the D Blue dial, which is nicknamed the James Cameron. And you can see this dial fades from the blue that you would see when you're at the top before you go into the ocean, and it fades into the black that as you go deeper and deeper in the ocean, like James Cameron did, you would actually see the ocean fade from this blue to black because there's no light down at those depths. So it's an interesting dial. It is a mystery how they exactly make it with the gradient change from blue to black. Can't really be imitated. I haven't seen any other company do anything like this. And so it's a really beautiful dial. The word deep sea on the dial is also in the same green color that the lettering on James Cameron's vessel was. So it really has a lot of ties to him personally and to that particular dive attempt that was successful. He actually took a sample of the soil at the bottom, by the way. So I guess they're still doing experiments on that. The changes came to the model in 2018. And so it went from a reference number 116660 to 126660. And we have both of them here so you can see the difference. Their changes were very subtle. One is that the end piece to the bracelet used to protrude, you can see, a little bit above the level of the lugs, and on the newer version, it's flush. The big change, though, was in the width of the bracelet. You can see that in the newer one here on my left, your right, the bracelet is wider, and the clasp itself is a lot wider. And so it got rid of the complaint that some people had about it, that the watch was a little top heavy, the bracelet was a little skinny for how big the watch was, and so now it's more proportional. They also changed a little bit about the way the bracelet fits. It's more supple and more comfortable now in the newer edition, but some people might still like the older one. We have both in stock at SwissWatchExpo. There is a price differential between them, so you'll be able to look at that by putting in the reference numbers, the 116660 versus 126660. They also made a change to the movement, like the other Rolexes that they've upgraded recently with the higher power reserve movement. Of course, it has the parachrome hairspring, and it has the 70-hour power reserve, the accuracy plus or minus 2 seconds. But all of those things, to me, are less important than the fact that they made the watch more resistant to magnetic fields, more resistant to shock. The longer power reserve doesn't really mean a whole lot to me because I buy my watches to wear them, so how long they'll run off my wrist isn't really an issue. But I do like the thicker bracelet that they put on the new one. Both of them have the same interesting glide lock system that they premiered on the Deepsea. While it's on your wrist or with it off, you can make adjustments to the fit real easily. You just pull up on this piece here, and you can actually slide out a little bit of bracelet or slide it in if the watch is feeling too loose or too tight on you. I think that's a phenomenal plus for a watch that is thick and heavy on top of the wrist, that you can make that adjustment just based on weather, what you ate the night before. You might want to make a little bit of change. But we've got all these in stock. Give us a call. The SwissWatchExpo, visit our website. You'll see all the variations we have in stock. Hit the bell, like and subscribe. Give us some comments which ones you like better, whether you think that the 2018 improvements are worth the price difference or not. And keep an eye here out on SwissWatchExpo.com.